Well, we're here at the 550-yard traps in Shelbourne Park. We've just seen the first 8 heats of the second round of the Boylesports Derby, and it's safe to say that the bookmakers, Kevin, will be dining on caviar and lobster and drinking champagne for the next couple of days, and hopefully the punters will get it all back on Saturday night, because the results were very much in your favour tonight.
Yeah, without question. Well, we did suffer badly in the opening round. It probably levels things up after tonight, but another half of the heats to go on Saturday night, and hopefully for punters then they might get a few quid back, but definitely hard night for punters here tonight.
I think strange is the best way to describe it. Obviously things got off to a decent enough start for punters, but not too many would have been involved in FARLOE BLITZ at such a short price, 1 to 4, 1 to 3. Well, I'm not sure exactly what price he went off at, but he did it nicely. He showed his blistering early speed once again. He went 7-8 clear. Prices last year, we know what she can do from the second bend. Obviously if you're on FARLOE BLITZ long odds, you'd like to be staying a little bit better, but he's still doing 29.60, and if he continues to do 29.60 every night, you'd imagine he'd be in the final.
Yeah, well, he's going to do 29.60 every night that he pops out like that, and he just has that early pace, and he's going to stretch whatever's in behind him at the third bend. You'd imagine he's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8 lengths clear at that point every night. He doesn't come home strong, but then again you have to take it hand in hand. Price's Lassie's as strong a stayer as there is in the competition. She's got a dream run around the opening bend. I'd expect her to come on fitness wise. She's had a handful of races this year, but however, will she be as lucky at the first bend every night? It's not often she can turn second, and when she does turn second she normally wins. So in that sense it is a credit to FARLOE BLITZ. He was able to stay on. He's a great dog. He's doing everything right so far. I think if you're on him, the time 29.60 is probably his clock most weeks, and he'd probably go quicker, a little bit quicker. I wouldn't be expecting him to maybe 29.30s or 40s or anything, but doing it from the front, he's a hard dog to peg back. For punters it was tough because we saw a lot of accumulators and trebles this week, and he was the main one, and he got everyone off to a great start, but as we see in the later heats, the rest of the legs sort of let everyone down. Yeah,
Jojo Fantasy was the third one to qualify through there. He's not going to be winning a derby, but the dream is still alive for his connections.
Yeah, he's only had, I think that was his 4th race tonight. He's still a maiden, however the dog has clearly got serious ability. He's mixing it with the very, very best, and he's beaten the best as well. So Jojo Fantasy, probably a dog for this stake 12 months time, but definitely an interesting sort of still in the competition.
On Saturday night, my woe is me story was the fact that I'd backed for the flag at 14 to 1. Of course Muggins a few nights later decided no, it wasn't going to happen again, and tonight he popped up at a similarly enough big price and did it rightly. Again, showed his fantastic early speed, got clear in what was a decent contest, and was never looked like getting pegged back, despite the fact that FARLOE Rumble turned relatively close. He just didn't seem to be making the ground up quick enough at any stage.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted you done your few quid, because I told you before racing that if you backed him last week you should back him this week. I thought he had a better chance this week, just because the inside 3 could have caused a bit of trouble, but for the flag he absolutely flew to the bend, and you have to say he was a deserving winner. FARLOE Rumble turned close enough, if good enough, and made strides into him, but definitely wasn't getting there. A much stronger performance from For the Flag. And if he gets a decent draw, he's drawn out on the outside in his last 2 heats. If he gets a better draw, he's another one that could go along there nice and quietly and progress a couple of rounds. FARLOE Rumble, for me, I still don't think we've seen the best of him. I think he's more to give than what we're showing, but Paul Ellis' runner will look to improve, and Calzaghe Clampett, after beating Ballydoyle Honey last week, progresses again, and that's the name of the game at this stage.
Yeah, Calzaghe and Clampett actually got involved in early scrimmaging, which looked probably likely with Ballybock Mondo in trap 2, expected to step right, and that exactly happened, and that was what actually gave FARLOE Rumble a clear run in behind For the Flag, who had flown the lids early.
Yeah, and I thought FARLOE Rumble would probably pick up For the Flag. I was very impressed by 6. At the same time I was slightly disappointed by 4. I thought 4 would probably pick him up, and I'd say 4 is probably odds on at the third bend to win the race, but in fairness to For the Flag, he ran really, really well in the Derby last year, and he looks like he's doing the same this year.
The bookmakers are doing a jig after the third heat again. Ollie Bray was at it this time with Dark Intentions, and in fairness ran well to win. It was a strange race. Save the Dawn, having change of seeding from trap 2, was the hot favourite. He stepped right at boxes and clashed with Padua Supreme, and that ended his chance. He actually ran well to qualify in second, but Dark Intentions, she did plenty right, got to the front, or he got to the front at the corner, and that was that 29.96. It wasn't a flashy run, but there was nothing wrong with it.
No, and I got to give credit to the traders here. The other lads in the office, they were keen to take on Save the Dawn. I was shorter than them, but they got it right. I thought he'd go up straight from trap 2. Wasn't the case. He did step right. Probably cost him the race early on, because I think he might have nearly made the bend if he hadn't have stepped right out of leaving the boxes. But Dark Intentions, this was the start of a couple of surprises, but he ran really, really well too, and Ollie Bray's kennel clearly in good form. Saved it on. He has to stay as an inside seed now. Just wonder, will they regret that? But you definitely don't want to be drawn right outside him, because he is inclined to step right out of the boxes.
Certainly if you were on Save the Dawn long odds, you'd be hoping he'd be getting trap 4 probably some nights, and of course with the number of inside seeds that it is possible, but there is also the chance that he'll get trap 1 some night, and who knows what will happen then.
Yeah, well, I'd hate to be in trap 2 more than I'd hate to be on Save the Dawn in trap 1. If he is in 1, he's going to cause more trouble than he's going to receive. So all inside seeds will be keeping a close eye on the next round draw.
So Dark Intentions, Save the Dawn, and back in third, Borna Pedro. He's still there?
He is still there, and he's won a third of his races. And Liam Dewan's runner, he doesn't have blistering early pace from what we've seen in Shelbourne, but then if you look at his third form, he's got good early pace. Clearly has to be more to come from him, and if he can start doing it right at the traps, you never know.
From a pricing point of view, Heat 4 was always going to be tricky. Ardrahan Zindi was installed favourite following that 28:30 run here at Shelbourne Park a couple of weeks ago. She disappointed a little bit last week. She was again one of the favourites here. She was actually favourite from trap 1, but Gaytime Hawk, had it been 2 or 3 months ago, would have been probably an odds-on chance, but it has to be said he'd been running poorly. But tonight, once he got a run from the second bend, he showed plenty of pace, and perhaps the old vigour is back, and this dog could go a few rounds considering the pace and certainly determination he showed this evening.
Yeah, that was a much better performance from him. That's the pros and cons of Gaytime Hawk. If you watch last week's run and watch this week's run, he just can be inconsistent at the boxes, and when things go his way, he's a very, very fast dog. He's a very fast dog, and things didn't go his way last week. He didn't perform to the best of his ability. Tonight was just a different dog. I was delighted to see him do well tonight, actually, because we'd seen a bit of money for Ivy Hill Barts at bigger prices during the week to win his heat, so he was a bit of a loser for us, but I was impressed slightly by Ivy Hill Bart. I gave him no chance off last week's run, but showed a lot more early pace tonight than he had been shown. A little bit of a concern is that he didn't get home great. Ardrahan Zindi, she's only a small bit, but she's running really, really well. She beat the Puppy Derby winner a couple of weeks ago up here. She'll need to start a bit quicker, and you'd like to see her in front early on if she's to have much chance going forward.
Yeah, she actually ran well to qualify, because she got held up going through in the third round, the bottom 2 bends, and did another one to qualify in third for Graham Holland. He got 2 or 3 runners in the first few heats through into third, and at this stage it's all about qualification, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Graham won't be complaining about not winning the heats. It's just getting through these early stages. That's the main important thing, and as long as they can put their name in the hat the next time, you always have a chance. Heat
5 was another one of these T-tail heats, as we call them. 4 greyhounds crossing the line, locked in battle. In the end it went to Peregrine Falcon, who's now racking up quite a run of successes. We didn't really fancy him from trap 4. We thought he'd need to get a clear run, but as it was, shut the back door, couldn't hold on in front. Secreto was very unlucky. He got held up badly when he was about to strike the front, it seemed, around the first 2 bends, and then he didn't run that third bend to grade again. But Peregrine Falcon, nothing can be taken away from this fellow. He's always prominent and got it there late, but in a desperate finish in 30:23. The time was sort of reflects the way the race was run.
Yeah, exactly. Peregrine Falcon himself was in a very, very poor position going around the opening 2 bends, and it looked as though the Derby might be over for him. But like your dad said actually here in commentary last week, he's a dog that's improving every week. His confidence is clearly sky high. He's been a different dog the last couple of months, and that confidence is doing him the world of good. He's really coming on with each run. He didn't look like in a good position out the second bend, but things fell his way, and he stayed on very well as well. Shut the back door, I thought possibly would win this heat, to be honest, during the week. Didn't get away great either, but still in all, his stamina is going to be an issue. The dog to take out of the heat without question is Secreto. Finally, he's shown a glimpse of what this dog can do. We know he's one of the fastest dogs in the country. He's very young. We've making excuses for his inexperience, but he was going to turn second or third off the second bend. If that had been the case, we'd have been talking about 29.50-60 run, in my opinion. JT Valencia unlucky to go out from a bad draw, just pipped on the line, but Secreto, finally the penny appears to be dropping for Mossy O'Connor's runner.
I know there's still those butts. We need him to come away a bit better, and he's still not running that third bend. Also, I mentioned here Riverside Pat, the favourite, after a stunning opening round success, got knocked over in the corner, but got up fine and galloped on, it seemed.
Yeah, well, just glad to see Riverside Pat. Maybe he'll go into the Derby plate now, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he comes out with no injuries. But it was an awful fall he took, but glad to see him back on his feet.
Heat 6, we saw Fair Taxes posting the fastest time of the night, 29.50. Everyone was sort of suggesting this fellow was badly drawn, but he had run as a wide seed in his early days, and to be honest, he never had to check his stride at one time here this evening. Did 29.50, picking up Creamery Bale. It was a very impressive display. His pace from 2 to 3 is noted, and it was there for all to see again tonight. But there's an argument to suggest he probably is that bit better from the middle or wide, because he doesn't have to check his stride, whereas when he's on the inside he does tend to check off.
Fair point. Couldn't have put it better myself, in fairness. He didn't lose an inch of ground the whole way around. The draw was the reason he was the price he was. An inside seed drawn out on the outside is a good note that he probably does run better from middle to wide, and if he's drawn out there in future, we won't be making excuses for him, and he'll definitely be judged on his ability. We just didn't really think he would make it across from where he was, because Creamery Bale, as we know, has got great early pace. Ran really, really well in defeat, Creamery Bale. took a bit of a hiding last week behind Rural Hawaii, but stuck to his guns much better tonight. And Mimi's Ace is a dog I really like. I like John Kiley's dog. I just question mark about his early pace. I just don't think he's the early to get to the bend in front, but he comes home strong, and I think he's a dog that'll progress further.
Yeah, Cream Rebel, very nice type, good early gears, but was thoroughly outpointed by Fair Taxes down the back tonight. Mimi's Ace, though, checked up twice or three times in his corners. I just wonder, is there a slight problem?
Well, John Kiley is probably the man to ask that too, but he's just a dog that caught my eye last week, and I thought he was impressive enough again tonight. If there is a slight knock and John can get it right, he's got 10 days now, and that 10 days might stand to him very, very important as well.
Heat 7, and here we had a hot favourite turned over again, Siderian Vega. This fellow walked out of boxes, he diced for the inside. We knew he was too far off the fence in 3. In fairness, he's probably too far off the fence if he's in trap 2. He's a dead railer, the Champion Stakes winner. But FAYPOINT Rush, one or two of the shrewdies in the ring, were giving this fellow a real life, and it was obvious to see why. With trap 4, of course, Mucho Macho Man, unfortunately an absentee for your father. Siderian Vega missed the kick, as I've said, and then FAYPOINT Rush had a lovely clear run into the corner. Still had to run well to clear Lefanta Sky, but once doing so, he was always holding Siderian Vega, who did run well in defeat after getting a clear run around the second bend.
Yeah, we saw good money for FAYPOINT Rush. Not going to lie, there was a lot of money for FAYPOINT Rush, so he didn't go unbacked, and he will be popular among some. But Siderian Vega, just if he gets drawn in 3 again, you'd be happy. You'd take him on all day long. The dog needs one. He probably needs to be just inside trap 1 actually. He just dives for the rails. Sort of lucky that he missed a break tonight and did manage to progress. I don't think Graham will be too concerned the fact that he didn't win the race. He'll be just relieved that he got through after missing the break so badly. Fortunate for me, I think he'll be lucky to keep his name in the hat, because only for the trouble at the first bend, I think Siderian Vega would have been in an awful position. He got a lovely run around the opening bend. Had it not been for that bumping ahead of him, I think he would have been under severe pressure. Tyra Mairead, she's running really well. We offer markets on which greyhound will be the top bitch. Ballydale Honey dominates that market, but she's a tough little bit lady herself, and she sticks to her guns. She's got 6 more. She will get 6 more nights, and she's going to be a hard one to knock out of frame too.
The winning time there, 29.98 for FAYPOINT Rush. It's probably not going to be good enough coming forward, but he is a dog, as you say. He runs his race.
Yeah, he did, and you can't knock the dog. He'll give his best performance most nights, and he's a middle seat too. He's always going to be drawn out there, and like tonight, if there's a bit of trouble, he'll capitalise. You
mentioned there the incredible Ballydoyle Honey, and how she's dominating the bitch stakes in terms of which will be the one that goes furthest or finishes highest in the Derby final. But she was thoroughly outpointed in this final heat by her little sister Samaya. I have to admit, I burnt a tenner on Samaya in the first round. She showed loads of pace in previous races. I thought maybe she might get a clear run in behind them. I never in my wildest dreams thought she would lead in this contest. Granted, Jip Rossetti and Rural Hawaii fluffed their lines in the early stages. They were the 2 early pacers. But Ballydoyle Honey flashed out. She had simply no answer to her little sister Samaya, who took it up into the corner. And once she led, we've seen enough of her to suggest she wasn't going to be caught. She showed real pace and strength. 29.51. It was a hell of a run from clearly a very progressive young lich.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be interested in cutting Ballydoyle Honey any shorter. Just being honest. There's always the concern that she doesn't have the early pace to clear the dogs on her inside if she's drawn in the middle. She drew one tonight, she broke, the early pacers didn't break, and she just doesn't have that early to get to the bend. Listen, would she have beaten Samaya tonight, even if she had made the bend, is debatable. 29.51 is a fair clock. She ran ultra impressive for Robert Gleeson, who knows what it takes to win a derby, as we know with Slippery Robert. Rural Hawaii didn't do his kennel mate any favours down around the bottom 2 bends. He carried Ballydoyle Honey wide, but like I said, I don't think she was going to beat Samaya tonight regardless. Samaya was 25-33 to 1 in places just to win her heat. So a real shock there, but Ballydoyle Honey, we know how good she is. She's a superstar. Whether or not she's going to win this derby, I'd have plenty of reservations.
Yeah, I'm her biggest fan. I must say tonight, I don't think she was necessarily carried off. She does like to pass on the outside. She was a length behind when he started to make his move wide, and she decided to go on the outside rather than switching to the inside, which she had an opportunity to do, and that might be a problem going forward. She does like to pass on the outside, and she is an inside seed at this stage. We've more question marks after the race than we do before it, and well, we're just waiting for the 3rd round to see how she runs next week. But 29.51, you can't take it away from Samaya. A hell of a run. Yeah,
without question, and like you said, she is her little sister. She's only had, tonight was only her 8th race, and Samaya unlucky in the Puppy Oaks and Harold's Cross. The penny's clearly dropping by her. That's a great litter. Hovex Princess is another one, and Hovex Prince. So Kildallan Maid, she really is throwing them, but who knows, Samaya might not be as bad as we all, well, not as bad as we all thought, but we might have underestimated her significantly. If she can reproduce those sort of clocks, we might be talking about possibly the sister that could be as good.
who's to say, we often say about, you know, being the fastest bitch in the country. At this moment in time, her litter sister Urban Gossip was the star in the open round, so Maya's the star in the second round. She used to say she might even the fastest in the litter. We know she is. She's a hell of a bitch, but tonight wasn't her night. But perhaps it will be her night in the third round. We have to look forward to the remainder of the second round, and that'll take place on Saturday night. And once again, I'll be talking to Kevin and getting his thoughts after the action.